What's happening, guys? My name is Jamie, this is the Norwich Reptile Shed, and in this video we're going to build the last set of 6-foot vivariums to fit in that gap there. Okay, so we've been here before, we know what we're doing. We built these, these are the first ones we built, these were the second ones we built. We learned some stuff from this one, and I've kept saying that one day I'm going to get the middle ones built, and this is going to be an awesome wall of just custom built enclosures, and we're going to get rid of all this melamine rubbish that's all rotten and too small. So the only thing that's different, I've got my plans exactly the same as my other plans, but I'm going to make these just a little bit shorter, about 8 centimeters shorter, to fit in this gap with enough space to actually get plugs and stuff through the vent holes and to allow for enough ventilation. So yeah, the plywood has been delivered. There's nothing else to do inside here apart from grab a tape measure, and we're going to grab the saw. Let's get going. So these are the plans. So I'm going to start with the plinths first to get a straight edge to use for all the other bigger builds. So we've got the guide on the saw ready to go. So I've just got to run that along the first bit of plywood. Okay, so we're about the halfway mark. I've got 3 boards left. 2 of those are going to be the sides, and 1 of those is going to be the middle. As you can see, you get a lot of wastage from doing this, but this is what I'm talking about when I say I can make these. Are basically 4 foot by 2 foot long. So they're my 4x2s, ready, sort of, you know, pretty much ready to go. I've just got to trim them to size, and I can make a 4x2 easy enough. So yeah, we've got the two we've got the base and the top, and the 2 backs. This plywood, let me show you this plywood. This plywood is rough. I've never had plywood with such a crappy like bond. So I'm having to be a bit careful, make sure, you know, I mean, there isn't too much I can do without, you know, finding out after the cut, but luckily, you know, this piece isn't being used for anything, and if I do a plinth, you know, I've got enough spare that I can cut a new plinth. So yeah, not good. Luckily, none of these are too bad, just a few sort of bad edges and stuff from where they were sort of sitting in the shop. being transported. But yeah, let's crack on. As you can see from the last bit, I was cutting 2 at a time. Now that's a scary bit because that's 50 quid's worth of plywood. Actually, that's a lie. They're £40 a sheet, so that's £80 worth of plywood to mess up in one shot. But yeah, saves a bit of time. Just got to keep measuring. So the 2 sides are the same, and then we're almost done. We can stack it up in the reptile shed. Right, own up. Who got their measurements wrong? I think it was me. Just put the plinth in and we are like a centimetre too long. So no big deal. Just showing you these things happen. All I've got to do, take this outside, undo the screws that I used to hold this back, zip off a centimetre from each one, and we can put it back in and we can progress. So today my plan, this is like, since cutting this wood, this has been like a 3-week thing. So today is the day. I moved all my vivs across here. I've still got a false water cobra in one of them now. But I hate this. Look at the state of this. Look, oh, it's crap. So I want to get these built. I want to get them stained. That way I can put these vivariums, or at least one of them, I can put in there. And then this area can be sort of tidied away. I've kept 2 just in case I need 2, but actually I think I'm going to break one of these down and just keep the one as a backup inside one of these vivariums, and then I can focus on actually making the other one, and then I can move the snake in. I've still got like 2 months to get this done before moving snakes out from the loft. So that's my plan. So let's go and zip these off, and then we can start building the vivariums. Okay, so the new cut down plinth fits in the hole nicely. I've cleared all the space. I've rewatched my first video on making these on my own so I can remember the process. So let's crack on and start putting all these bits of plywood together to make a lovely vivarium. Okay, so before we get started, let's quickly talk about this. So obviously I've covered this millions of times before. If you want a real in-depth kind of how-to for joining plywood and doing what I do with vivariums, then I recommend to check out the 4x2x2 foot vivarium build, which is where Rocky currently resides. And that kind of goes really in depth. But in a nutshell, I've got my spacer block there, which gives me a good guide. I know I've got 9mm in there, which I can use to pre-drill my holes. I've got 40mm wood screws, and I've got an impact driver for doing everything up. You don't need both of these, you can just have one, that'll be absolutely fine. And then I'll also be using PVA, just normal wood glue. To seal the edges as well. So what I'm going to do first is go round and do all my drilling that I need to do for the base. That'll make my life easier in the future. So I can do all the sides, the back, sides, and even the plinth if I'm feeling brave. And then I can get these backs on and we can start assembling everything together. Okay, so either I'm losing my touch, or this build is starting to become a bit cursed. But I managed to cut this board 12mm too small. Yeah, so it's the only board that doesn't fit. Everything else has gone together really well. And I thought about it overnight, and obviously to replace this whole board would cost me £45. And this being one of the most kind of unstructural parts, I'm thinking what I can do instead is cut a sliver that I can then drop into here, loads of glue either side, filler on the front, and we'll never know. It'll be our little secret. For me, that's better than wasting another, well, not wasting, but spending £45 seems completely wasteful. I've got this massive sheet then that I've got no use for. So yeah, let's cut a little sliver and slot that in so we can continue with the build. Okay, so that little bit there saved me 45 quid, which is nice, all nice and glued in, and then we'll just probably never even notice this once this is done, but I will just put a little bit of filler in this gap here, sand it all back, and once it's stained, I don't think we'll notice it. It's character, why not? Yeah, so that's that little problem sorted out. Next up is the final two bits. Just got to put her back on, slot that in, and put the lid on, and then well, and the plimps. So actually no, we've got 4 more bits to do. 5 5 more bits. It is quite early in the morning on a Sunday. I was supposed to finish this on a Saturday, and yeah, because of that floor bit, it just all went a bit crap. And yeah, so I'm trying to get it done today, so it's out my way, back in the hole, and I've got my reptile run back again. That'd be nice. Okay, so that is the vivarium completely built, but what I'm going to do before I put it in the hole is drill my air vents, because it makes a much nicer hole if you come in from kind of both sides, and it keeps the this clean as well. It stops the this getting gunned up and you have to keep forcing a bit of plywood out of it. So that works well, but obviously I can't do that when I've put the vivarium back in. And then the last thing I'm going to do, and the last thing in this video as well, is just going to be giving it a stain, and I'm going to do the outside first, put it in the hole, and then I can take my time and do the inside. So I've already marked out my vents. To do my vents, I've had to decide where my heat's going to be, and on this particular one I've decided that my heat's going to be on the left hand side. I could probably make a whole video about it, but I've actually made it a bit of a pain with the 2 vivariums that I've already built, in that my heat's on either end of them, rather than having it consistently on the same side, to help with ventilation. Yeah, so I've decided to have my heat on this side, it does mean that I can change one vivarium in the future if I want to, and that's the pine snakes and the Taiwanese beauty snake vivarium. But yeah, like I said, I've marked it out, so I'm just going to quickly drill some holes and then get some stain on. Let's go. Guys, we did it. Oh wow, here we go. So I am gonna leave the video here. I'm gonna finish the build here for this video. It feels like I've been filming this thing for like 2 years. So what I'm going to be doing in part 2 will be staining these guys, getting the vents in, maybe getting some lights in, sealing it, varnishing, and maybe getting the glass in. So that's going to be part 2, and then we can kind of treat each vivarium specifically for the species of snake, and then we can do a video for the actual for the builds. But this is pretty much 90% done, apart from just putting some glass in. And if you're interested in the glass, the tracks, everything like that, then obviously I have covered that before. The 4x2x2 build is definitely the best reference video for that. I'll show you how to measure it and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, look how cool this is. So obviously ignoring this rubbish here, but yeah, got a whole wall of custom stuff finally. And I'm going to actually stain this in a couple of days, and then I think that's going to look awesome. So that's really cool. A few little details. Obviously, we've got access there for ventilation, getting the plugs in, because obviously I'm going to be running my heat and everything through the wall. So I've got access on both sides, and what I think I'm going to do is actually block these off and run fans from the top. Actually extracting the air. That means I can do kind of like a lot of vivariums easily, rather than having fans on every single vivarium. So I think that's a plan, but that's a future thing. Not too worried about that right now. But yeah, I think we're done. We're done. So I just want to thank you guys for sticking out with this one. It's been a while since I uploaded a video, so I have been building stuff, but not putting videos out at the same time. I've just been filming it for this little sort of winter break that I've had. But yeah, obviously this is part 1, so stick around for part 2. Let me know what you guys think, and also if you're still here in this video, how do you feel about Norwich Reptile Shed t-shirts? That could be a thing, couldn't it? Let me know if that's something you would consider purchasing. I've got a friend up here who kindly made me like a screen printed t-shirt. So these are really like cool, top quality t-shirts. So maybe that's something I can look into the future, getting a few made, getting some posted out. So that's cool. Apart from that, if you want to support the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, make sure you've hit the bell notification button thing, and if you want to support the channel even further and help me buy even more plywood to cut wrong, then consider being a Patreon over on our Patreon site. So thank you very much guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.